This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is up on Center Stage, the show about the arts and the artists behind their work. I am always interested in adventurers, and in a way, at the heart of every musician is the adventure of spirit and seeking. Artists spend their life on the move, and the adventures they meet along the way are often memorable. Many not written about or immortalized, but they are indelible markings of a heroic artistic path. And to quote my favorite philosopher and mythologist, Joseph Campbell, he says, "The hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself." Well, my guest today has made that gesture. He has been on the move and searching all of his life. In fact, Stefano Baldasseroni may define movement. Born in Rome, he began his professional musical career as a drummer, and by his 20s had already made his mark recording and touring with many renowned pop music artists, including Patti Provo, the Mothers of Invention, and Mooney. Moving to New York City, he worked as a session drummer, but eventually he took a new direction. Through the synchronicities of events in his life, he started a second career as an Italian diction coach, notably for operatic productions. But the better part of Stefano's journey has been his endless search for clarity. In fact, that search took him into the Peruvian rainforest, where he experienced a close encounter with death. The clarity he was seeking came with the dangers and realities of the rainforest itself, and an encounter with vipers. He now presently works with a wide variety of opera companies, including the Metropolitan Opera, and he teaches at the Juilliard School and the Curtis Institute. So now, let me introduce Stefano Baldasseroni to Center Stage. His thrilling story is one of survival while finding the deepest part of his soul. He continues to lead with his heart, and we all have much to learn from his words. Stefano, welcome to Center Stage. It is a pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
It's wonderful to meet you finally. So am I correct in my intro that you are actually, you have the heart of an adventurer?
If you look at my life from the big picture, yes. But if you look at my day-to-day life, I'm very safe. I don't want to take risks. I'm always afraid of breaking a leg or hurting myself. But yes, I always think that I recognize the signs from the universe, and then I act accordingly. Let's say this.
That's wonderful. So you are in touch with your spiritual connection to life.
Yes, it has started many years ago, and I have to thank my ex-wife immediately for that, because she introduced me to psychotherapy. And because of that, I came out. And so, unfortunately, I had to leave the relationship, even though now we're still good friends. They were like brother and sister. And I realized that self-discovery is an important part of my growth. And the more I look for something, the more I find, and the more I grow. And it's never ending. It's beautiful. And then I have realized there are many different kinds of paths that you can find. Many, many, many. And I embrace all of them, because they are all, as long as you are consistent with your truth, every path can be really useful.
There's no question about that. You and I, we have never met, but we are kindred spirits already, because I look at psychotherapy and a spiritual kind of excavation as the greatest adventure of all time. I believe that for all of us who are being really responsible about life, there's so much to look into. It's like peeling the layers off that onion, isn't it?
And taking responsibility for who you are. Because many times we act like children. Everybody, this is what we do first, mainly. And we act like children, and we try to blame other things in life or whatever happens to us. And then when you realize that you are responsible for your actions and for wherever you are and whatever you do, so you start acting like an adult, you can see that life can be much easier.
Absolutely, and it depends on how it affects how we react with others and the responsibility we take for that in this life, making it a better place. How wonderful for you! How wonderful
Thank
to
you.
be for you to be so upfront about that immediately. I adore that. So it was perfect that I read the Joseph Campbell quote at the beginning of this. um, here you are on this musician's life, this musician's quest, and many would say you actually had it made as a drummer. I mean, you were frontlining with a lot of fantastic groups. Can you take us into that first life of yours?
I've been very lucky, and I always thought that if I wanted to be the best, I had to practice as much as possible. So I was a crazy. I would study and practice 8 hours every day because I really wanted to be the best. And I've been immediately I've been hired by many Italian pop stars, and I've been involved in TV shows, in tours, and recording albums. And then little by little, I expanded through Europe, and little by little, I expanded through the United States because at the apex of my career, I was recording with this Patti Bravo that you mentioned before. She was a big, big, big deal in the 60s and 70s, and she has sold something like 60 million albums. She was
Wow.
featured in movies and everything. Plus, I was doing a lot of TV shows with this Mooney because she was a platinum artist in the with Sony and number one in London. I got lost in the BBC building a couple of times during Top of the Pops, and then lucky me, I joined a band that was with members of the Mothers of Invention. So they were playing crazy progressive music written by Frank Zappa,
Mm-hmm.
and because of them, I had my first experience in the United States in summer 2000. We did a 75 show tour in the United States, starting from Nashville. So my first experience of the United States was in Nashville. So I really
Nashville,
loved it. Yeah,
Tennessee, the home of
Nashville,
country
Tennessee.
western music. I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. And I
And what?
didn't know anything about the United States back then.
How was your English then? Was it good?
Huh. I knew a little English, but the way they would teach it in Italian public schools, so nothing important, nothing impressive. So I joined the Mothers of Invention. We did our first European tour. We're stuck in a tour bus, and I didn't know how to communicate, which was really frustrating. So what did I do was I came back home. I took English lessons, so rules and everything, and then I moved to London for a couple of years because I said I need to know English if I want to be able to communicate, and I have never stopped since. So I still, my Italian accent is there with me, but I think I can communicate a little more than 23 years ago.
I think you can too. How was the music scene for you in London when you were there? It must have been pretty exciting at that time.
It was, and my attitude ruined it for me. First, I was really young. I was 26 and I didn't know anything about life. And I thought that everything was supposed to be served on a silver plate because
Ah,
I was very good. And I didn't want to take smaller gigs because I'm too good for that. And that burned me a little bit. Even in the future, that's why I moved to the United States because I thought that there was nothing else for me to do. And sometimes you pay when you bring an attitude, when you think you are better than other people.
hmm.
You know, so the music scene was thriving, but I wasn't really part of it.
Interesting. Interesting. But those are wise words you're sharing with us right now.
Thank you.
You're the man of wisdom. You're not the adventurer. You're the man of wisdom. I This is wonderful. Okay,
Well, let's
Stefano.
let's see let's see in the next few minutes if I'm still the man of wisdom. But anyway, yes.
So you come to the States, and this time you did not settle in Nashville, I take it. Did you come straight to New York?
Yes, New York is the city where the music I like always is always born. So jazz or some fusion, some kind of pop music, soul music. So I said, let's go to New York City and see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took me a whole year to be able to obtain a work visa. Like everybody from abroad have to get this mythical O1 visa,
Mm-hmm.
for musicians and scientists and sports people.
Yeah, for extraordinary talent.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you did it,
I did it. Yeah.
and you started to work as a drummer.
Yes, small gigs, small concerts here and there. I got a few tours, and then I was teaching music lessons with an establishment called Kidville. They were doing shows for music lessons for young kids from
Oh.
newborn to 5 year old. That was,
Hmm.
some kind of steady money. And I was trying to join Broadway for one of those shows, but it is a very tough thing
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
because I joined the union, and in the union there were something like 800 drummers plus, and involved in 18 Broadway shows. So you can imagine the competition.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Oh,
of course,
terrible.
if any contractor has uh, to work with a drummer, they would rather work with a drummer they have known for most part of their lives. I was just the newbie in town.
And even though you were the newbie in town, was your attitude better than it had been in London?
Absolutely. Uh, I started my journey with psychotherapy. I joined a spiritual group here in the United States, and I was able to see what an angry person I was, and what a bad attitude I had, because I thought that everybody was against me.
Oh,
Everybody was there just to fight me for some reason, and then my attitude was definitely better.
and how long did it take you to really work through and lose and shed the anger, would you say?
Okay, I think that I'm going to take it from a different side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the biggest problem in the modern society is that we love to treat the symptoms of things.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, I, I hate it when I see this commercial for this medication for heartburn. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, you can eat as much as you want. As soon as you feel this, we're gonna numb this part, and then you can keep eating. While just eat less, you're not gonna have heartburn, right? And the
Right.
same thing happens for many other things. Every time I was dealing with my anger, I wasn't working on the roots of the anger. So um, it took me it took me a journey to the rainforest of Peru, and where I was doing retreats with a very ancient brew that is called ayahuasca. And ayahuasca helps you go deep and bring up all the memories and that they were so painful that you would push down as much as possible in the darkest corner of your psyche, and then you have to deal with that. You have to face them in one night. And let's say that going there a few times, doing a few sessions, really helped me immensely. And that's the moment when I realized that everything is about love.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That and so that has guided you ever since.
Yes, absolutely. Because really see yourself for who you are. You see your dark side, which
Mhm.
is what we always try to push away.
Right.
Oh, I'm a good person. If you ask somebody, anybody, are you a good person or a bad person? Everybody would say, oh, I'm a good person. Everybody else is bad. And that was me too. And then I faced a lot of darkness that belonged to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And during this time, on one of these trips to Peru, and of course, you're led there. You're loving this experience. You're always looking forward to getting back. But on one of these trips, you actually had a death-defying experience. Can you share that with us?
Yes. And interestingly enough, I went there to look for something, clarity in my head. That's why every time you go to one of these retreats, you need a purpose. You need I now I don't remember the word that they actually use for it. But you need to go there with a purpose. You want to work on something. I was
Right.
looking for clarity in my head, okay,
Okay.
in my brain, and I found it at the end. Anyway, yes, I went there. Um, and I found another dark part of myself because I always thought I was invincible. I could do whatever I wanted, and nobody would ever, anything would ever happen. Nothing would ever happen to me. So I I was there to do this different kind of retreat because when you want to look for clarity, you work with a certain root, with a root of a plant. That when you drink it, they make a brew out of it. When you drink it, you become foggy. Anyway, I went outside to the bathroom, which is behind the hut, detached because it's a compost bathroom. And when I was coming back, I got bitten by snakes multiple times, vipers. So I got
Vipers.
bitten, yeah, big vipers, and I got bitten something like between 7 to 10 times. I don't know how I went back into the hut. The shamans were there with me, and I started convulsing because that's the reaction to the poison. So they were trying to figure out what was going on with me. At first, they thought I was having a reaction to the drink, to the
To the drink.
brew that I just
Hmm.
drank.
Hmm.
Instead, they knew there was something more, so they organized a group of people, all the workers in the healing center, and they took me to the main road, which is a 50-minute hike in the rainforest. So they used a hammock because they didn't have a stretcher there. So during this 50-minute walk, I was convulsing. I break the hammock and I fall onto a spiky rock. And I remember, not don't remember because I don't remember anything of that. I hurt my butt cheek, and I really had a very deep wound. And I was thinking, a foot ahead, and I would have hurt my spine. Anything could
Yes.
have happened. I'm very lucky. Anyway, they took me to this. When we got to the main road, there was a car waiting for me, and another hour drive to the first hospital. So they took me to this hospital, the only one with an ICU in Iquitos, which is the last frontier before the rainforest.
Okay.
And this was an hospital of Adventists. And Adventists there are strictly against ayahuasca. So when they saw this guy covered in blood, I also bit my tongue. So I was covered in blood in my mouth, everywhere. They thought I was convulsing because of ayahuasca. So they were immediately judging me. So they took me in. They didn't even check my body because they were very rigid in their position, and they didn't do anything basically. So because of this, I fell into a coma because my body was shutting down because of the poison. What I can tell you, and this is my opinion. So my whole experience was I was in the rainforest, and after a minute, I opened my eyes and I was in the ICU of a hospital. Right. So I didn't experience any of the tragedy that all the people around me were experienced.
All
My
right.
ex-husband, my friends, my family. For them, I was about to die. For me, I didn't experience anything like this. So I opened my eyes, and I still felt the effect of the brew that I drank. In my opinion, that brew is what saved my life,
Saved
and
your
that
life.
helped my
Yeah.
body
Hmm.
my body against. I felt my body it helped my body against the poison, because you can die with one bite of a viper, and I've been bitten so many times. You know. Anyway, I woke up.
Stefano, can I just ask, when you were
Yes.
bitten, you were aware that you had a snake bite?
No, no, no. I
You were
didn't
not.
remember anything. I'm working with my therapist, try to relive that moment
I
because
see.
I
I
don't
see.
remember anything of that. I told you, remember that I was there,
Unbelievable.
and then the next thing I remember, it's me coming around and opening my eyes in this place with everybody was wearing a mask. I thought I'd been abducted because I thought, what's going on here?
So thank God for the fast work of those who were with you, the shamans, and taking you down and out of this rainforest in a
Hmm.
hammock. I mean, this is incredible. In a
It is. It
hammock.
is. Yeah.
When you think back. So it's best that you were out of it totally. Okay, so they get you to the hospital,
Mhm.
and what happened then?
Um, I come around and I stayed in the ICU for 5 days, and then they were taking me to general population. So there was a halfway section where I was just trying to finally I could shower, I could eat regular food because the food was horrible. Anyway, I remember I was patched up on my foot and on my left thigh. So finally I can take off those patches, and I see the snake bites. They were clearly snake bites. So I called the doctor. It was the doctor who checked me in, and that the night I arrived at the hospital. And I said, "Doctor, look, these are snake bites. You didn't trick me for the snake bites." And he said, "Oh, no, no, no. You weren't convulsing for that. You were convulsing for the ayahuasca. You're a sinner. Just shut up." So I knew I wasn't in the right place. So I took out all the IVs and everything, and I left the hospital. I checked in at a hotel, and I called an independent doctor who confirmed the snake bites. As soon as he saw me, he said, "Oh, vipers! Oh my God, you survived! How did it happen?" So he cleared me for flying. So I booked a flight and came back to New York City. And it took me about 10 to 15 days to recover because I was really, really, really weak. Can you imagine?
Well, first
But
of
I'm
all,
here. I'm
okay, going back a little bit into the story, I cannot believe you took out the IVs. You had the presence of mind at that point to be able to recognize the viper bites, take out the IVs, and then check yourself into a hotel. Stefano Baldasseroni, this is unbelievable. First of all, your immune system must have been so strong to be able to help you fight the poison. I mean, it is a miracle that you made it as long through as as you did. It's absolutely extraordinary.
Look, Pamela, as I told you, the way my experience of this tragedy wasn't a tragedy, it was just, okay, I'm here. I was very positive about everything. I'm sure that my siblings, my ex-husband, people around me, my friends, they were all freaking out, I'm sure.
Of
Because,
course.
you have a friend in a coma, in a hospital, in the rainforest, you know. So
Wow.
I'm
Okay,
very
so
lucky.
you are beyond lucky. I think you're right. I think this was another step in your adventurous life. And you've allowed wisdom to come into this to be able to see it for what it was. It was a really cathartic, a moment for you to persevere and survive. I mean, really, you should be on Lifetime television telling this story.
Well,
Without question.
what I can tell you, I was looking for clarity, and I
Mhm.
found very much clarity in many, many ways. Yes.
So, some of the clarity you found was the ability to actually pull yourself together while in the hospital and check yourself out to find the right doctor to be able to deal with this. And ironically, here it is back in New York City.
Hmm.
It's wow. So, do you go back to this same area in Peru?
I feel the call, I feel the charm, but now I'm aware of the dangers
Yes.
because there are snakes everywhere. There are giant spiders. When I was there, it was normal for me to find a big giant tarantula in my hut. So I would get there with a little container and just throw it out. But what if I was sleeping in this giant tarantula? Now I'm aware of it. You know, I
You
actually have pictures. I had caught this pink-toed tarantula, which is actually very beautiful because you can see all the tip of their arms. They're all pink. It's there are beautiful creatures there, but still, it's very dangerous.
They're also very frightening creatures there, and you're
Yeah.
living amongst their world. I'm, as the English would say, I'm totally gobsmacked by this story. I am totally in awe of your courage and the power to be able and the endeavor to come out of this alive. How has this left you in retrospect? First of all, you found your healing, and I can imagine it took its toll on your body in many ways afterwards, even after you were back and well. Um, what is the one thing you take away from this more than anything, Stefano?
I don't want to sound like a Hallmark card, but life is unpredictable. So we can't really be worried about the future. We can't rely on the past because it's gone. So whatever we really need to care about is this very moment. This is the only moment when I have power to change whatever I'm doing, you know?
It's
So
quite
live the
profound.
moment. Yeah.
It is totally profound. Is that, in short, the clarity that you were looking for to find?
Yes. And also looking at myself from a different from an out an, a different point from the outside and see where I am and who I am. And I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not a hero. I'm not a better musician. What I can do, what I know is that I can do my best in certain
Oh,
situations. So I try to do my best, and everything is based on my heart, really. And whenever I can feel my heart, I'm always a winner. And I keep falling and be worried in my head and thinking and and fall into the ego part of myself and feel like, oh my God, this person now is looking at me because maybe this person hates me. I'm trying not to fall for that. I'm trying to keep my heart open and I keep remembering that everything is about love.
isn't that wonderful? I guess
Yeah,
our greatest weakness is our kind of learned reactions to thing and just being human. And we have to rise above that, which it sounds to me as if you have been living the hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell called it. I mean, you've given, you've dedicated your life into something bigger than yourself. And you speak about love in your heart. I mean, this is so perfect. How
thank
beautiful.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This story of literally walking out, carried out on the hammock, um, I mean, it has so many levels to it of paradoxes, and so often, Stefano, I feel that life and a musical life is filled with paradoxes. We strive to be musicians, but yet we might be introverts at heart. You're looking for clarity and with a brew in the Peruvian rainforest, and perhaps it comes with peril, which you found. But this is the balance, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It is
And also,
truly.
as musicians, we're always on a quest, and we are searching inside, trying to find that part of ourselves who can express certain things the way we
Correct.
think. You know, so
Correct.
it's always a journey. Everything is a journey, never-ending journey.
So, do you share this story with many of your students and other musicians, or is this something you keep more private to yourself?
It's as I said before, we always treat the symptoms of things, and we are very easy to judge. And we're very quick with judging, and I sometimes I feel safe sharing the
Hmm.
story. Other times I don't, because people may think, oh, this guy is going to the rainforest just to take drugs and have fun,
Hmm.
which is not the point. Which
Hmm.
is not the point. And I really believe that whatever is on this earth, it's here for a reason. So if we have the possibilities to use something like that, it is there for a reason. And of course, people abuse anything. Can abuse drugs, they can abuse food, they can abuse sex, you can abuse anything, and that's a different pathology. But yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I share it, and not with my students. I always believe that it's important to keep a certain. Um, if you want to be heard, if you want to be the one who can teach something, there must be a little separation.
Yeah.
Even though after they're not students anymore, we're friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
No,
I,
I
and I'm
understand.
not stuck up. Absolutely, I'm the last person to be stuck up.
I can see that. I can see that. This is marvelous. So, this experience has made you richer for the world. Where are you now in your life? You've left drumming, I understand, or
Mhm.
have you?
It's been my passion for so many years. I wanted to be the best drummer in the world, but my last show was in January 2020. I played a show in Venice, Florida, with
Uh-huh.
this band, with this group called the Broadway Boys. So six Broadway singers who get together and they sing Broadway tunes in a different setting. But anyway, that was my
Wow.
last time I played drums in public, and I haven't. touched the drumsticks since, which is so unusual for me. I
Interesting.
can tell you something, and I'm sorry, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm enlightened and know everything. No, it's not that. But I'm just sharing my life experience. I could see how thinking that the only thing I could do in my life was drumming, and how it put me into a cage. So
Ah,
I wouldn't do anything else outside of drumming. But now I can see I have an infinite array of
absolutely.
possibilities in front of me, right?
Absolutely.
So I haven't played since. I may play again in a rehearsal room by
Hmm.
myself soon. I don't know.
Hmm.
But now I really love what I'm doing now. It's a beautiful change of career that is really fulfilling. It's really, and I'm
Infinite
enjoying it so much.
possibilities.
Yes.
Infinite, infinite. So, Stefano, how did you find your way into the operatic world then as an Italian diction coach?
Um, I was involved in another relationship before the one I have now, and the person was a coach and a conductor,
Hmm.
and he was producing an opera in a Verdi opera, Falstaff. So since I had time, I was asked, "Why don't you come and pick the Italian?" And I thought, "Oh my God, with opera singers, they know so much. Oh my God, well, who am I to do that?" And I was scared, and I try to do it. So I didn't know how to address problems. So I did it and I liked it. And after that, after Falstaff, we did Lucia di Lammermoor, and then we did what else? Capuletti and Montecchi,
Hmm.
a few productions in the years. And at the end, I was asked to join the Institute for Young Dramatic Voices, led by Dolora Zajic,
Hmm.
and I'm still working there. I'm still working at the institute. At, After a couple of years of being in the institute, speaking of being in the right place with the right people at the right time, Catherine Labouf, do you know Catherine?
Yes, yes,
She
the
said that Corradina Caporello was looking for an assistant, and I knew who Corradina was, and I thought I can do it. And I know that she was slowing down, so I spoke to her, and so she gave me all the classes at Curtis,
hmm
and we had been co-teaching a class at Juilliard to see how fast I was learning, and then at the end she gave me all the classes. So I owe her all my career. Corradina is the one who has opened so many doors for me, and I love her like a sister, really.
that is
Yeah.
fantastic. It's
Every
so
time she couldn't do something, she would call me.
I love this. So isn't this interesting that when you're first approach to work with opera singers, you're thinking, oh, they know everything, and usually they don't when it comes to
I
diction.
was about to say that.
And then here you are coming in as the Italian speaker, feeling that, you're going to be underwhelming, and indeed you were not.
Look, I know I was unfair when I said that they don't know what they're doing. Many of them have a very good knowledge of what they're doing.
Many.
Other people didn't have the luck of being trained the right way, but most of them are eager to learn.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it. I love it. Those little pesky singers, I know them well, Stefano. I know how this works. And the coach, whether it's Italian or Russian or German, is so much needed in every operatic production there is, or in any recital work, I mean, for that matter. So, bravo to you for finding your
Thank you.
footing in this new world. So, you just must be lit from within. You've got all these fantastic jobs. You're working at the Metropolitan Opera. Every
Mhm.
once in a while, I'll see a little Facebook posting where you're down in just behind the pit and you're doing your job and keeping these singers alive. Are you a singer yourself?
Isn't that amazing? Everybody asks me that because I work with singers. So you must be a singer. No, I used to do background vocals, as they call that in the pop world when I was drumming. But no, I love to sing in the shower, but that's it.
But I remember Phil Collins, he was not a singer either. And when pushed, he had to step up to that microphone. And look what happened there.
Absolutely. I love to sing. I don't have any technique. I feel like it's part of being safe. When I was on stage drumming, I was protected by my little room. When you're a singer, you are exposed. You are totally naked in front of the crowd,
Correct.
and this is not for me. I would feel so self-conscious.
This is fantastic. Do you think there are still infinite possibilities for you in the future? I mean, you're young. You may go
Thank you.
beyond Italian coach. I mean,
I don't want to put myself again into a cage.
hmm
So I'm open to anything. At the moment, I have all these wonderful jobs, and I'm very happy to do my best. Who knows what happens in the future? Not because I'm planning to leave, just who knows?
And would you say that actually you stayed open enough to really recognize and learn from singers yourself and feel that you know the presence and the merit of the human voice through your work?
I am learning. I still know virtually nothing about the human voice. What I can tell, I'm learning. I am I'm recognizing that I have some kind of gift when it comes to being inspired by the person who is in front of me, and I've been discussing this with my therapist lengthily because it's always about the heart. If you don't enter a class and with an agenda and just get the feeling of what I want to talk about, if I don't go into a coaching knowing what to do, but just being open to the process, I know that things work better
Yeah,
and we have better results.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well said. Well
Mhm.
said.
Thank you so much.
So, on another tack entirely, with everything you've been through, and you should be dead, but you're not, and you've lived, and you're out there inspiring all of us. Oh my gosh, I think you should have a picture somewhere of a viper. I mean, just to remind you about how precious life is. But what do you do for fun besides all of this drama? What do you do? What are your big passions?
I do something that is very dangerous. I go out and eat. I love I love food. I love to cook. I love to eat food, and and I spend a lot of money on that. But I've been spending my evenings and my weekends for most part of my life in clubs, in venues.
Yeah,
living this glitter life. I love to be home and watch a movie with my partner.
yeah.
Okay. And at the same time, I love to go out and eat, and when I go to shows. I love to go to the Met. I love to go to Broadway. The last show I actually uh, saw was 2 weeks ago. We saw the Music Man, which was so uplifting.
I can
You
imagine.
know, all
With Hugh Jackman.
yes, absolutely, yeah, and it was so beautiful. So I love to take advantage of all the beautiful things that this city offers.
Oh yeah.
Museums. Yeah, yeah.
How thrilling. How thrilling. What a life you have had, my dear. Well, I
Thank
can't wait
you.
to see what the next chapter of this big adventure is going to be, Stefano. I mean, I have a feeling that there are going to be many lives here. I've done many shows on my radio show about people who have lived multiple existences. I mean, there is so much potential for all of us to have nine lives and keep recreating and reinventing. And as you so well said earlier, really following that road. I mean, trying to find clarity.
Yeah. Um, I think it's exciting, and I think that you can't. I really can't sit still because I always feel like everything becomes routine. When I was when I was touring, even though I was touring the States or Europe, everything boiled down to a road, stage, hotel,
Hmm.
and I had to find something else. Maybe even this will grow old after a while. I don't know,
Maybe.
but I know that um, I always trying to find new ways to feel alive,
I love it.
or maybe it's time for me to just relax and enjoy the ride, right?
I think you are. I think you are while you're working, and that's a beautiful and rare thing. So, you entered this country originally coming into Nashville, which I just think is so adorable. And you can't fault it because it's a big scene down there right now. And I always believe that there are circles that you complete. Have you visited Nashville lately?
So my life now is on Mondays I'm in New York because I'm at Juilliard. Tuesdays and Wednesdays I'm in Philadelphia to go to Curtis. On Thursdays I'm at Juilliard, and on Fridays I'm flying to Nashville to be with my partner for the weekend.
I
So
love
I
it.
I go to Nashville very often, and Nashville has grown immensely since my first time there, because before it was just a little town, and now you can only see cranes there. They are building as
Like
if there
crazy.
were no tomorrow, and hotel rooms are more expensive than in New York City. And there are people moving to Nashville from California and from the East Coast by the thousands every week. So it's growing exponentially. The music business is growing, even though now they are funneling all the resources into country and pop music. But I've been experiencing I've had beautiful experiences with classical music as well. The Philharmonic is thriving there. Nashville Opera is thriving. John Holmes, I don't know if you know John,
Hmm.
was the head. He is a visionary, and besides the classics, he loves to work with unknown composers. So
Ah,
they have the big operas in the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, the TPAC, but also sometimes they do smaller productions in their own black box theater. I was there last week for my favorite son. It's thriving, and I think there is something more that can be done. So maybe that can be my next adventure. You don't know. We'll see.
maybe it can be. I love this, and I'm waiting for my invitation down to Nashville. Actually, it's a city I've never discovered, and I'd really love to. And I do know friends that have moved down there. It's amazing. They're either moving to Florida or they're moving to Nashville, Tennessee. It's
Mhm.
extraordinary.
Well, the doors are open. It's not my house, my partner's, but I'm sure it's gonna be fine with it. You know,
Well, I
and
know I'll eat well. I do know.
what I can say, I grew up in Rome. I lived in London and New York, all big cities. This
Mhm,
is the first time I'm experiencing a little suburban life, and I love it. I love it.
mhm.
I have more room for everything. I can entertain. I can have dinner parties with 10 people, and I love to entertain. I love all these things. So it's a change of gear in
Mhm,
my life.
mhm.
So even though it sounds really frantic because I'm always traveling, but I don't mind, because whatever I do makes me really happy. So whenever I'm in New York, in Philadelphia, or in Nashville, I'm happy. So
You
what can
have
I
it
have?
made, Stefano Baldasseroni. You have it made. You've got attachments to everything. All these components that make for the most fantastic stew, of life. It's
Oh, thank you so
wonderful,
much.
wonderful. Well, personally, I'm glad to hear your story and glad that you survived. And I'm really happy that you have embraced all the most important things in life. And what you
Thank you.
keep close to your heart affects everyone. And with everything you give away, it's wonderful. Before we stop today, I've just got to ask you one question. If there is one word or phrase that really describes who you are, like the innermost part of who you are, Stefano, what would that be?
God, I need to think for a second. Um, I know it's very difficult to put it in a little box like this.
Mm-hmm.
That would be um, everything is about love.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because everything around us is about love. Love surrounds us. Everything is about love, and whenever you feel this love, you're just following the rules of the rules of the universe.
So beautifully said. So beautifully said. Stefano Baldasseroni, you are a hero. And I think you are on the hero's journey because it is about love. Let's be quite honest. It's not about the ego, you know? It's about coming to the top and really feeling that love around you and sharing that. And I want to thank you for being on center stage.
Oh, thank you so much.
This
I
has been
really appreciated it. Yeah, that was fun.
it's great fun, isn't it?
Yes,
But
yes.
just the fact that you can express and still lay out those infinite possibilities for yourself and also for others is what we should be about on this earth. So you've done it well, and I want to thank you. I'm glad you're here to share with us.
Thank you so much. It was fun, and I really appreciated your. You are so open, and it's so beautiful to deal with you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, my dear, for taking the time. And to everyone out there and all my listeners, I hope you'll go to centerstagewithpamelakuhn.com or WGCH Talk Radio in Greenwich, Connecticut for more information on my gallery of shows. In the meantime, I want to thank my guest, Stefano Baldasseroni, for his time and his grace today. And everyone, stay safe out there. This is Pamela Kuhn, and the curtain is now down on Center Stage. Stefano Baldasseroni claims that he is no hero, but to all of us listening to his stories, he is very much the hero of his personal life story so far. Thank you for watching.